Today's episode is brought to you by Balazs.
Sound Cartel.
In the fast-paced adapt or collapse world we live in, there's almost no industry beyond disruption. But abattoirs? Can they be made ethical? And how much better really is the final product on the plate? From Sound Cartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. In recent years, Australians are becoming much more aware of what they eat, not only of whether the food tastes good, but how it's prepared, how healthy it is, and, increasingly, the ethical considerations about where and how the food is sourced. As a farmer, Chris Balazs has always consumed his own meat. The quality is far superior than that of an animal taken to an abattoir, where the travelling and the stress affects the meat itself. As a CEO and co-founder, Balazs teamed up with a group of like-minded farmers and entrepreneurs to design and build a mobile, on-farm abattoir. The business is called Provenir, and its backers include top-end Australian restaurants, Grossi Florentino, Rockpool, and 3 Blue Ducks. It's been tough going, particularly around regulation and compliance issues, but in a short time, Provenir is quickly establishing a name for itself in an industry dominated by very large and traditional meat processors. Chris Balazs discusses with Chris Ashmore Provenir's stress-free method of butchery.
Provenir is Australia's first and only on-farm processing unit. So what that means is essentially instead of the animals being taken to an abattoir, the abattoir goes to the animals. It's quite a complex process that we perform, and to be able to fit that in the back of a truck, it's got significant design challenges to actually be able to achieve that. That's what we produce from there. The value proposition for those that buy our product is that they know that the animals haven't been stressed beforehand. So there's an animal welfare aspect to that. The other aspect is if you remove the stress from the animal prior to processing, the quality of the meat that is produced is outstanding. And to that point, we were in operation for 6 weeks and we won the Australian Food Awards beef category, the entire thing. So we were up against some of the big boys who've been in it for 10 years and blinded taste testing, and we were clearly the best. So there's 6 categories on which that is marked on, and we got the highest ranking out of 5 of the 6. So it was by a country mile.
You have these mobile abattoirs that you had to design and create. Were there any sort of red tape or regulatory hurdles that you had to go through to get them approved?
Significant number of those. Just to list a couple of them is obviously the food standards that we have to meet. We had to change the laws to enable us to operate in Victoria. We had to challenge a lot of the road regulations because the size of the truck that we've got is pretty large, and we had to wade through all the regulatory hurdles with actually just to drive it onto the farm. There's EPA considerations that we've had to meet and exceed from there. We're pretty good in the regulatory space, and our chairperson is a barrister, so she's pretty good at wading through all the regulatory paperwork and finding a way that we can operate.
That would help.
Definitely.
Now, who are your clients? Do you sell directly to the consumer, or do you go through, supermarkets? Who do you sell the meat to?
As a vertically integrated meat production company, we have 7 main sales channels from there. So that includes into independent supermarkets, so into Harris Farms up in Sydney, Toscano's. Some of the IGAs are stocking it as well, so that's a retail ready. We sell a significant amount into food service, so high-end restaurants such as Rockpool, Guy Grossi, Stefano's. A lot of the chefs that actually understand that the provenance and the quality is something that their consumers want. And then we also sell the bones into a company called Prestige that makes bone broth, and so we have to utilise every part of the animal. We're now looking at how we can value add the hides and the hooves, every aspect we need to sell.
If you want a business advisor that walks with you and not just talks with you, then Balazs is the right fit for your business. To find out more, visit balazs.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.
And what about the farmers? How do you identify which farms that you can use your service for, and do they contact you?
It's a little bit of both. The farmers that we work with, some of them have read about our story and contacted us from there. Others we've been linked into that we know of and know that they have fabulous land management practices, which is one of the key things for us to partner with a farmer, is to understand that. The onboarding process for a farmer is around about 2 months. So it's not a service where a farmer rings up and says, can you come and process my animals? It's more of a partnership where our company takes ownership of the animal when it steps onto the truck. But what we do with the farmer is through QR codes, we can tell the story of the farmer, and we do that in quite a lot of detail through the smartphone app that people can use when they purchase the product.
Well, you're a very innovative company, Chris. The concept seems to resonate with the public. You won a pitch event in 2017, the year you started, and you raised tens of thousands of dollars in a crowdfunding campaign. Is that right? Can you tell me about that?
When we grew our business through what's called an ag tech startup innovator, so a company called SproutX, took in 10 companies that had a bright idea, and we were one of those. And they had a pitch fest, and we were lucky enough to win that one, which sort of set us on the way. Post that, we had to do an equity sell of the company to raise the money to actually build the unit itself. So we raised over $1 million.
This is the mobile abattoir?
Correct.
Yep.
So the mobile abattoir is a bespoke build from the ground up. Essentially, it's like a large transformer type of truck, if you remember the cartoons, Transformers. At the back of it, it just looks like a oversized, so it's 3 metres wide as opposed to 2.5 metres, which most trucks are. But it's got a ramp that comes off the side. The roof actually goes up for another 4.5 metres. It's got a kitchen in the front of it with full amenities, toilet, shower. And then you go into what's referred to as the kill floor, and it's got a whole rail system and everything the same as in a normal abattoir. We just had to be very clever with spatial design from there. But so driving down the road, you just go, that's a larger truck. But when it's actually on farm, all the bits sort of pop out and move up from there. So that took close to a year to actually just build it, and still at that stage we had to change laws. We weren't guaranteed that we were going to be given a licence. So the shareholders who got on board at the start and parted with $1 million really are the true believers. So they're the ones that wanted to see change in the industry, wanted to see that the mobile processing is pretty much the holy grail of meat production, and they wanted to be a part of that. So now we're increasing production. We're looking to get into more supermarkets, more restaurants, and win more awards.
So of the traditional abattoirs across the country, looking at what you're doing and disrupting the market, has that influenced anything that they're doing? Are they looking to get into it as well?
I think the industry is probably looking at us and wondering, is this a trend that's going to grow, or is this just a little novelty that will stay as a single unit and just eke out a real niche market? Time will tell for that, but we haven't had any interference from the big boys, which some people said that they would. In general, they've been pretty supportive of it, knowing that there is a difference to what we do to what they do. But it is pleasing to see that across the industry that animal welfare is a real key topic, not just for the regulators and the welfare officers, but the proponents and the large abattoirs as well. They're really looking at how that can be improved, and that can only be a good thing.
Where to from here for Provenir? You got your sights set on expansion across the country. Is that what you're thinking?
We would love that. Right now we are consolidating our operations. So because we're doing so much novel and innovative marketing and also processing of the animals themselves, we need to ensure that all of those aspects are locked down into sort of set processes that we can guarantee that the business flow is working. So that's what we're working on for the next 6 months. Post that, we'll be looking to do a Series A, raise more money and look at doing multiple units across Australia. There's strong demand in Victoria for another unit. Queensland is exceedingly interested. The government's very, very keen on us operating up there. And WA has really well advanced farmer cooperatives there that this business model works really well with those farmer cooperatives. So, yeah, we've got a lot of opportunity.
And you're excited?
I am. You can say that.
That was farmer, co-founder and CEO of Provenir, Chris Balazs. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at Sound Cartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow at BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast.
Sound Cartel.
This episode was brought to you by Balazs. To find out more, visit balazs.com.au. That's MAZARS.com.au.